Simple margarita tonight. What's going on, everybody? Coming at you from somewhere in the middle of Nebraska. Woke up in Salt Lake City this morning. Drove 800 miles. We did 750 yesterday, did 800 today. All across Wyoming. Was beautiful. Went up to like 8,900 feet. Man, it was gorgeous. So, yeah. Making our way back to the old homestead. Got about another day and a half, I think, to do. We'll see. We'll see how we decide to break it up. I'm not really sure. I did this video today, and I know I'm doing these in the evening, but it's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles with being on vacation. Took a couple days off, hanging out with my family and stuff. So, but I was doing this video today, or I was shooting it last night actually, and then it came out today on the main channel about what makes a good guitar, And somebody in the comments said something that really made me think. And of course, all I'm doing is driving down I-80 today, so I have tons of time to think about this. Somebody said, the things you mentioned don't make a good guitar. They just make a basic guitar that just functions. A good guitar is better. They're probably right. And I was thinking about this whole thing. When is good enough good enough? Like, for me, good enough isn't good enough. Like, just good enough is not, it's not enough. Like, I want it to be good, right? So when is good enough actually good enough? When it comes to something that you claim to care about and love, like playing guitar, it like anything you own. Okay, we spend a lot of time, telling each other, well, you don't need this gear. That gear's a waste of money. That guitar's not worth what it costs. This guitar is just as good as this one. You could go from any angle. I'm not saying cheap guitar, expensive guitar. I'm not saying any of it, okay? I'm just saying all of it. A lot of people spend a lot of time talking about this stuff, trying to tell other people how much they do or don't need when it comes to this stuff. You don't need this or that. You do need this or that. Maybe. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. But if you truly love something and you claim to, then wouldn't you want to be better at it? Wouldn't you want to have the good one? Wouldn't you want to explore all the options, And you're going to say, well, I'm just a bedroom player. I'm just a hobbyist, just at home. You know what I mean? This isn't about being a professional. This isn't about knowing everything. This isn't about any of that. I'm talking about something probably a lot deeper than this. Do you want to be a better version of yourself? Because that's what's reflected in these comments on YouTube that are dismissive of anybody who wants to be better, get better, do better. This is not about the possession. I think, because most of us do not do this for a career. I mean, I do, but different. I'm not talking about, let's set the pickup company aside for a second. Let's just talk about playing guitar. I'm not a very good guitar player. I'll never be a professional guitar player like I once was. I just will never be. But so there's not a career, right? It's just a journey where you're getting better and being better and learning and right? Every hobby has levels, okay? Coffee. At first, drip coffee is just fine, right? Coffee's coffee. But the more you learn, the more little aspects you are interesting, then you're I wonder what this coffee tastes like versus that coffee. Usually it's flavors, or usually it's maybe basic roasts or, that kind of thing. And then you realize, wow, if I get a burr grinder instead of a blade grinder, the coffee's smoother. And then you realize, different brewing methods. And then within those different brewing methods, if I brew this at 190 versus 200, what happens? Like, you just naturally become more curious. And as you work your way through any kind of hobby, you learn. And the skill that's required to do all of that, you become a more patient person. You become a better person. You become more knowledgeable. It's really, really cool. With photography, you stop shooting auto, you start shooting manual, you start exploring stuff. Cooking, same thing. I was talking to, uh, I'll get into that in a minute because I think it's another point, which is really interesting. Um, guitar's no different. In the beginning, a guitar is a guitar, right? And any guitar is good enough. And that's great. Okay. I love that. I think that's awesome. But after a while, you start to understand neck shapes. You start to understand string gauges. You start to understand pickup sounds and nuances and setup changes and, all kinds of fun stuff. The guitar didn't change. You changed. You got better. You learned. You understood. You gained a deeper understanding of this thing that you love. And up until this point, till right now, we have not talked about the gear itself. We're talking about an internal attitude. The gear is secondary, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think better gear makes a better player. I do think, I shouldn't say that. I do think it does make a better player for various reasons that we could get into. But I think the real value comes from knowing why you think if you understand why it's better, not just because the internet told you so, not just because it says it in the sales literature, but because you have come to an appreciation. Now, this does not mean skill. This means an appreciation and an internal attitude about yourself that you're like, I am a growing person. I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to refine. I want to be better. I want to be more patient. Those are the kinds of things that you earn that are kind of earned, right? Like as you learn things, you're like, I want to continue to learn this stuff. I just want to get better. You can't skip that really, Now you can buy performance. We've talked about that in videos before. If the guitar plays better, it will jumpstart this entire process of appreciation. But I think a lot of that appreciating things and really wanting to be better and not just have better stuff is almost more internal than it is the actual purchase of the gear. I think the patience that we put into this is the real investment, right? Nobody becomes good. Nobody gets better. Nobody has a more nuanced approach to how they hear a pickup or how they use their knobs on their guitar or how they feel in neck shape or how they understand that this neck is not straight overnight, right? It takes patience. It takes consistency. It takes humility to realize that, oh, I did buy a bad guitar. You know what I mean? Like, whoops, I made a mistake. Or that, learning that the traditions that you have been taught from the internet are only guidelines, that you can think outside those things, and everything is going to be fine. Delaying gratification a little bit, knowing that this is a process, that learning about something guitar's a lifelong thing. Have a little patience. You know what I mean? But what I think the thing is that if you don't have that attitude about other things in life, then it will be very difficult for you to translate those to guitar and vice versa. But if you can do that, I think you're a better person. I think these skills translate, everywhere. It's really about self-discipline. People say, I can't afford this guitar, so I have to buy this cheap one, and they settle for this cheap one that's not that great and needs a bunch of work and all this stuff. that just takes patience, and when you see another guitar player with a more expensive guitar than you, don't think they spent money that they shouldn't have spent. Think they're in a different place in life than you. I mean, that guy over there's got a $250,000 Tiffin, 38-foot diesel pusher. He's in a different place than me. I'm not jealous of it. I think it's cool. It's really cool. I think it's cool. I don't really even want it because I'm not in that place. I don't have any weird feelings about it. But he looks like he's having fun too, and I'm having fun too, and that's all that really matters. It's not about the thing. It's about the attitude about the thing. It's about how you use the thing. It's about the appreciation of the process, not the actual thing itself. And it's not about being better than anybody else. The other night, I was hanging out with a buddy of mine I hadn't seen in like 20 years. He was at my parents' house. And he told me that he'd gotten into long distance precision shooting. And it's something I shoot a lot, but in this discipline that he's particularly in, I don't know a whole lot about it. And I was telling him, and we were talking about, he has like a $10,000 rifle. And I was telling him, I was like, I don't mind spending the money on this stuff, but what I want to do is every time I pull the trigger and send a round down range, I want to learn something. I want to be better than I was yesterday. I'm not in competition with you. I'm not in competition with him. I'm not in competition with anybody else with what I own or what I do or how good I am at it. My goal in life is to be better at it today than I was yesterday. And when I wake up tomorrow, have a goal to be better than I was yesterday. Like, that's really, really how I feel about it. And that's kind of that competition shooting stuff's really cool because it's like an internal sort of like, I just want to be better. I don't care what these other guys are doing. They're on their own journeys. They've been doing it longer than me. I don't know a lot about it, but I really, really, really want to be good at it. Same thing with the guitar stuff. Once you have the patience to save up for a good guitar, I mean a really good guitar, not a guitar that's good enough, okay? I mean a really good guitar. Once you have the patience to learn your setup, once you have the patience to practice every day, and have the self-discipline to save up for a good guitar because you love this. Don't settle. The just as good as guys want you to settle. You don't need to settle. If you want a Les Paul, get a Les Paul. If you want a whatever, doesn't matter. I don't care what it is. Maybe you really want the new guitar that costs $500 and that's your dream guitar right now. That's fine. The cost is not the point. The point is, do not say, well, this is good enough. Don't do that. I mean, do whatever you want, but I would encourage you not to do that. This is why I like premium gear. This is why I like premium stuff in general in the areas where I have spent time. It's not because expensive equals better, right? It's not so that I can show it off to my friends, because I actually don't really have any friends that know anything about the guns that I have, or the watches that I have, or the guitars that I have, or even the motorhome that I have. They don't know about that stuff. They see a van in my driveway, and they see some guns on my wall. They don't know. They see guitars. They don't know, right? Your friends who aren't guitar players, they don't know what you have. So it's not about showing off. They don't know what kind of espresso machine. I have a Gaggia Classic Pro. They don't know what kind of espresso machine it is, what kind of camera I have. They don't know any of that stuff. They don't care about it. But I do, because I have spent the time and the hours to learn the things that now I appreciate about that stuff. And I've invested in the time to tell you the difference between this Ego Drive ProMaster Diver and my automatic ProMaster Diver. I've got two of them. And like the difference between it. Like, I didn't know that before you know what I mean? Like, I've invested the time into the learning, and that's what's neat about it. To me, that's what's neat about it. Of course I like them, but I mean, that's what's neat about If, and here's the other thing too. You might say, yeah, but I don't want to go that deep. This is why I don't play golf. I would love to play golf, but I know that I would want to spend bajillions of dollars on gear and take lessons and invest all this time and money, and then I would need to go 3 times a week to justify the time and money, or the money that I would have in it, and I don't have that kind of time, so I just don't even go down that road. You might be that way with guitars. You might be like, I'm okay. I'm okay where I'm at. I don't want to have better. I don't want to get better. That's awesome. Here's the only caution I would give you. Do not confuse contentment with complacency. Okay? Being content with what you have, being happy with what you have is very good. That is a very good thing. That is an excellent mind space to be in. But don't ever stop being curious. Don't ever stop wanting to learn. Growing is what keeps this all exciting. Don't let somebody on the internet tell you that having 15 Harley Bentons is the cool thing to do when there are other options. Learn about all of it. Learn about everything. The thing about this is this is not about what we pay for. This is not about how much we spend. This is not about any of that. I just hate to see people settle. In fact, my buddy he's getting me into this long range rifle stuff, and he's like, look, you could buy this, this, and this, but in 6 months, you're just going to sell it and spend this much and get this other thing. Just get this other thing. Because I know you're going to love it. Okay. Makes sense to me. It's a more wise thing. Take that same approach with guitars. Don't worry about what guitars you have. Don't worry about what guitars you have. Don't worry about any of it. Worry more about the person who notices the details. The person who, well, I can't even tell the difference between these things. This $300 guitar is just as good as. Okay, that's cool, but it's really fun. And I don't mean this in a critical way, as in like you're trying to be a snob. That's not what I mean. I mean, you will enjoy learning, I hope, the details between this and this. Develop a musical taste for particular tones of pickups. Once you start to exercise some patience, learn some discipline, appreciate the differences between things, appreciate craftsmanship, instead of just letting somebody tell you that the cheapest thing is good enough, then you will enjoy your life better. And I'm thinking that there will be a lot of things about your life that you'll go, I wonder how that lawnmower works. I wonder how that impact wrench works. I wonder, you know what? Why does this stupid thing that I have always break? Let me see. It'll just feed into your entire, a positive spin on your life if you don't settle for things. I think if we settle for guitars instead of just having the patience and being the person that wants to be better at this, I think we just kind of shortchange ourselves. The hobby's still the same. Guitars are still going to cost what they cost next week. They're still going to cost what they cost next month. Of course, everything goes up with time. But overall, they cost what they cost. But you got better. You're the one that changed. You're the one that got better. You're the one that got cooler. You're the one that more people wanted to hang out with. Because you're more open-minded. You make more friends. Right? It's awesome, right? I don't know. That's all I got.